let's go on. I'm getting too long-winded here. Stage 4. The child goes away from home, primarily Connor goes away to college and begins to question everything. It all is up for grabs, okay? All the religion that my parents taught me, that's just bunk. Look at all these other options and possibilities out here. That's what you want to happen, Rosemary. You want them, and Gloria, you want them to start questioning everything. You want them to start becoming differentiated within themselves. This is a stage of rebellion, questioning, critical thinking, and seeking one's own answers. Now, in stage 4, they must face unavoidable tensions here. Individuality versus being defined by a group or group membership. Okay? So there will be a tension, pulling this way and that. All right? Now this is a stage of demythologizing Scripture, beliefs, who is God, who is Jesus, etc., and so on. Where all the past beliefs and concepts are up for grabs. These are the spiritual but not religious people. Okay? They've said religion is bunky, but maybe I have some spiritual needs and I need to find a way to deal with those. But I'm not necessarily going to go back home to where I came from. I'm going to let that go for a while and see what happens without that.
They don't want to let you go either. The
That's right.
establishment. I got visited every Tuesday night.
Yeah. All right. And then if the person moves on, and a lot of people stay in stage 4 from then on. They join a country club, they become a part of Kiwanis or Rotary, or they locate their ultimate values in the secular world. That's okay. That's where they've decided to locate themselves in terms of ultimacy, without much understanding of transcendence. But if they decide to move on to stage 5, stage 5 is a way of seeing and knowing that moves beyond the either or of stage 3 and 4 to the acceptance of both and. Yes, God is personal, but also an impersonal force, okay? Both and. Doesn't have to be either or. The rights of the individual in stage 5 usually takes precedence over the rules. Sometimes the rules of the status quo have to be broken in order to protect the rights of individuals. Family in stage 5 is understood as referring to all human beings. Therefore, we're open to the truths and claims of other groups and traditions. Authority is based on a joining of our learnings and experiences with the learnings and experiences of others to provide an expanded understanding of truth and reality. Stage 5, people are comfortable living in a world of mystery. Jesus taught us a way to go. Buddha taught us a way to go. Both of these people were revealers rather than fixers. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
This is stage 5. Both and. Now, Fowler says, and this is very interesting, stage 5 people remain paradoxically divided between the self and the universal consciousness and the need to provide safety for our own being, but the need to adopt whatever is necessary for society. My perceptions of justice at stage 5 outreach my readiness to sacrifice myself for the sake of a more inclusive justice and realization of love. Now, if the person moves on to stage 6, that paradox dissolves and the willingness to sacrifice self becomes a strong yes. Stage 6. This is exceedingly rare, according to Fowler. Heedless of the threat to self, groups, institutions, stage 6 becomes a disciplined activist, making real within oneself and tangible the imperatives of absolute love and justice. And Fowler says everybody in his research was more interested in stage 6 than any others, but sometimes he just listed the name of people that he felt like had been willing to make it to stage 6 or had made it in terms of their development of human consciousness. In their devotion to universal compassion, they often offend our parochial perceptions and wind up as being a martyr on behalf of what they're giving themselves to. I'm going to stop there. Any reflections or questions before the last thing I want to do?
I'm all for the 3 to 7-year-olds. Become as little children.
When we look at spiral dynamics, if we do, every stage of the development of human consciousness there has a healthy and an unhealthy part. Remember, Ken Wilber says, when you get to the integral stage of consciousness, you need to include all those that are in the past, but transcend them. So you're including, but transcending. So you could probably take stages of faith that way too. All right. I'll give you one of these after we go through it. This has been one of the most interesting things to help me understand stages of faith, and that was the tour bus. If you think about these stages as a sightseeing bus going through the tour of a large city. Stage 0, you hear songs and stories about the magic bus and all the wonderful places it takes children. But you understand nothing of what is being said or sung. But you will have instinctual memories of certain bus songs. Stage 0, undifferentiated trust. Stage 1, ages 3 to 7. You imagine the bus as it is described to you, and you're sure that it exists only for you. But you're careful not to do anything wrong so as to jeopardize the trip you imagine you're going to take one day. You think the bus makes everything happen for good and bad. Okay? You may imagine that there are all kinds of monsters, fairies, and demons on the bus. Depending on how you've been raised, this could result in a fear-based faith. That is, people who live in fear of the wrath of God or of going to hell are still imprisoned by these traces. Stage 2, age 7 to 12. You see pictures of the bus and you hear stories about the sights you're going to see. But you often mistake pictures and stories for the real thing. You assume the tour must look exactly like the pictures you see. You feel you can influence your ride on the bus by being good. After all, life is supposed to be fair, and good actions result in rewards, right? Okay. Stage 3, 12 and 18, or 18 and up, depending. You sign up for a particular tour, like the ones your friends are going on. You join a particular church. You affiliate yourself, okay? Once on board, there are no choices and no responsibilities. You're just along for the ride. You have no control over the driver. The person up front is the authority, and he or she will tell you what you see and what it means. Questions are discouraged. You go where this particular tour takes you, and you see only those sights that come with this tour. Think about most congregations, okay? All you have to do is sit back with your friends and enjoy the scenery. All the decisions have been made for you. After all, it's important that you, quote, fit in with the tour. You can keep riding this way forever if you so choose. And a lot do.
Join the Marine Corps.
The military is an example. Stage 4, 18 and up. Or, Rohr says, well, he says, you don't really get to, I'll say that later. You don't get to stage 5 until you're 35, he says. Nobody does, according to him. But some people may hint at stage 5 before 35. But stage 4, you create your own tour for the bus. Remember, everything's up for grabs. You decide ahead of time which kind of bus you're getting on and which sites you want to see, and then you contract for those choices. Once you're on board, you're stuck with the choices you have made.